Have your attention, please. Welcome to the zoning board meeting of October 8th, 2019. My name is Marty Akins. I'm the chairman. To my left, the vice chair, Mr. Gervais. Mr. Board members, Mr. O'Brien, Mr. Chen, Mr. Himmel, Mr. Radell, Mr. Franco, the head of inspectional services, Commissioner Duca in the back, our clerk, Ms. Murphy, to my right. If you got a cell phone or a pager, please put it on vibrate or silent. Not to interrupt the meeting. If you're going to speak, please go outside. We don't have any microphones. If anyone's going to speak tonight, you have to take an oath. If you don't take an oath, you're not going to speak.
Testifying all the words. If you're going to do, you're going to come up here.
If anyone's going to speak tonight or testify, stand up and raise your right hand. If you think you might testify.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. Yes.
Thank you.
Is there a motion for 24, please?
Yes, Mr. Chair, make a motion to not read the minutes of the previous hearing, which was September 24th.
Second. On the motion, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Right now, I'm going to turn the meeting over to the vice chair because I wasn't at the meeting. We're going to have our first case on. Mr. Gervais.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Man number Z19-6. This is a remanded hearing for the Norfolk Superior Court, Habit Opco LLC for a special permit finding to operate a medical clinic and alter pre-existing non-conforming parking to accommodate new configuration of uses in the existing building on premises number 39 Broad Street. The first person I want to call, I think, is our solicitor, Mr. Timmons.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and members of the board, good evening. You may recall back in February of this year, the board voted on an application by Habit Opco they were going to enter into a tenancy agreement down on Broad Street and operate in a facility that's now existing and operational. So they came in for relief to expand or alter a pre-existing non-conforming use, and they also looked for parking relief. The board never got to the parking issue because essentially you found that the alteration of the pre-existing use was going to be substantially more detrimental in that neighborhood. And you may recall that at the hearing, the ward councilor, Councilor McCarthy, spoke, and a few others spoke about the traffic issues. Broad Street's a dead end next to the police station, and there are a lot of issues posed by the site. So it was based on essentially current conditions that the boards had concerns that caused you to not grant the permit. The voting members that night were Mr. Coveas, Mr. O'Brien, Mr. Riddell, Mr. Franklin, Mr. Himmel. So your decision that evening was then appealed to Norfolk Superior Court. The attorney for Habit Opco in that appeal, Attorney Carol Murray is here, and she's willing to speak if you wish to hear from her, but she agreed to defer because what happened was we had some discussions after the trial. I'll explain what happened there, and we agreed to come forward tonight and tell you what we're looking at. We don't expect there would be a vote on a final outcome tonight, but we would be looking for a vote on October 22nd. Because what happened during the appeal was we had a 2-day trial where the primary issue was the traffic impacts and the parking issues along Broad Street. And a Superior Court judge in Dedham came out and took a view. She heard from a traffic consultant for Habit Opco. We had our traffic engineer there. There was testimony about what was going on. And essentially what the judge decided and determined was that what Habit Opco wanted to do with going into 39 Broad was not going to really increase what was already a very difficult condition on Broad Street. So the findings that this board made and relied on relative to the existing conditions were accepted. The court didn't make any sort of conclusion or finding that anything was done in bad faith, but there was a concern that preventing this use from going into 39 Broad was not going to, it wasn't going to make things substantially worse. and it also wasn't really going to make anything all that different or better, so that your attempt to kind of address the situation by not allowing this to go forward was annulled by the court. The judge remanded the matter back, which simply means returned it to you to give the board the opportunity to impose conditions. So Attorney Murray, Mr. Duker, and I have been talking about what would be reasonable conditions, and the only real issue that we have discovered or determined to be of significance is the parking, because there's not a lot you can do down on Broad Street. There are no sidewalks, and you can't really ask the applicant to put in granite curbing or to restructure what's out in front of their building. The applicant has agreed to do some handicap parking adjustments in front of the building, and we'll come in with a more detailed plan on that. But we're going to talk to the landlord about that. And then in addition, I've spoken with Attorney Murray, perhaps she can address this issue, but we're going to work with the landlord to come up with dedicated parking for the folks who are coming to the site for treatment. And we're also going to come up with dedicated parking either on the site itself or across the street, where the same owners, although it's different LLCs, there's a community of interest among the parties that are in the LLCs, so we're expecting we'll be able to get some help from them. And we might have employee parking dedicated off-site. It's the old Veterans Post, it's now a redemption center. There's some marked parking right across the street there. And that's where Habit Opco operates, it's the van service that it currently operates. So we believe that there's a good plan in place to come up with appropriate mitigation. And we wanted to let you know that tonight. We wanted to publicly discuss the fact that the matter was remanded, but then invite, if any members, based on your awareness that it was coming forward, if you had any thoughts or questions based on your prior experience, you want to just defer to Mr. Duke, counsel, and I to come up with a final plan that we believe to be acceptable. And we'll have the input from the traffic engineer as well. So that's essentially where I believe things are. I'm happy to take questions or invite Attorney Murray if you want to add anything.
Thank you. If I may, members of the board, thank you.
Before you go on, your name and address, the record, please.
Carolyn Murray from KP Law on behalf of Habit Opco.
Thank you.
When we were back before you in February, we did present as part of our application, and we don't expect you all to have held on to your own copies. We do have additional copies we can provide. But we did show a parking plan with 26 parking spaces. Right now, the whole site is unstriped. It's just lot line to lot line pavement for parking. And there will be 3 uses of the site. So we also went through, even though there's the provision in your current zoning ordinance about existing buildings and uses not being subject to the parking requirements, we nonetheless went through the other 2 uses of the site, categorized them, figured out what parking would be required, and then also what parking would be necessary for our use as a medical clinic. So altogether, you've got a plan that shows 26 parking spaces, 3 of which would be handicap parking spaces, and that would be completely compliant with what your current zoning ordinance requires.
Okay. You going to give those to us?
I'd be happy to.
But I have, the main question that I had when we did this review was, I was concerned about the addition, when the business expands, what type of plan would be there, would be in place for an expansion of the number of people that are going to be using the center?
Well, excuse me. Part of what happened during the course of the trial is they talked about what was going to be going on in the neighborhood. And I think perhaps you're aware of the public safety, the plans for public safety facility. That would be pretty much encompassing most of the northerly side of Broad Street. So one of the things the judge talked about in her decision was the fact that the dynamics in the neighborhood are going to be changing while the dynamics in this particular business are gonna be changing. And it's just something we're all gonna have to adopt to as we move forward and address. So what we've asked of Attorney Murray, she's correct. What she did when she came forward in February was essentially said, we've got three different, components to this use. And when you add together the total number of spaces required, that's what we have out in the parking lot. What we're gonna now try to do, working directly with Cabot Opco during this remand, is to come up with dedicated spaces at the site to ensure that based on the projected, right now the build out is a certain number of treatment rooms, certain administrative area, and they did testify to the number of employees they thought would be there and how the treatment cycle would work. So we talk generally about 7 to 10 dedicated spaces in the area along the fence on what I'll call the Broad Meadows side of the building. So we're going to ask for striped dedicated to Habit Opco spaces there to ensure off-street parking for people who come for treatment, and then have employee parking dedicated across the street. And we've asked Attorney Murray to obtain from the landlord a commitment in that regard. So what we're trying to do, which would address your concern, it's the only real concern we have, is to get a firmer commitment. Attorney Murray has shown that the numbers work. We're trying to, in order to ensure that things work in the practical sense, get a firm commitment from the landlord that something in writing. And that would be the type of, hopefully we have something in writing to present to you, and then a condition that you would impose, which would be striping and signs, so people know where to go, where they have to park.
Mrs. Melissa, can I ask one question of you? The size of these spaces, are these will be the size spaces that required under the ordinance?
That-
Are they 8.5 and, what was it? And 9, 8.5 and 9.
Are they gonna be?
I was gonna say, I can answer, they're actually 9 by 19, so they're 1 foot longer than
size.
your.
Okay, thank you, sorry about that.
No, it's my here, dimensionally, yeah, they'll comply dimensionally.
Okay.
There's no question, right now, it's just not striped and everything, but there's no question there's plenty of room for parking there. It's just more structuring the parking so we can make it work and ensure that things have, parking's off-street and it doesn't impact the butters. We have that same concern.
Thank you. So I guess as far as administratively, what we're doing again now is we're gonna say thank you. We're gonna meet again in 22nd. Will I be seeing you at the 22nd?
I hope so. God willing. If not, then something's not terribly wrong. You hit me a lot, you threw a lot here.
I guess I did, huh? So we'll see if I'm here.
Yes, I'll be back, and hopefully back. We've communicated and we understand what we need, and so we're going to try to come back with everything that you need in order to enter an appropriate amendment to the decision that's been annulled.
Okay. So do we actually continue this, in other words? Have a motion to continue this?
22nd, yes.
Have a motion to continue to the 22nd.
Mr. Chairman, regarding case C-19-6, the remanded hearing from Norfolk Superior Court, Habit Opco LLC, for a special permit finding to operate a medical clinic and to alter the pre-existing non-conforming parking to accommodate new configuration of uses of the existing building on the premises number 39 Broad Street. I make a motion to continue the hearing October 22nd.
Second, on the motion, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, the ayes have it, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Who's
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
I turn this back over to the chair. Mr. Franco, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I'm in case number Z1964, Tony White for special permit variance floodplains to subdivide the lot into 2 lots, construct a single-family home on the newly created lot, premise number 66 Crabtree Road. I have a letter here, they want to continue this to the 22nd of October.
Mr. Chairman, matter number Z19-64, totally void for a special permit variance floodplain to subdivide the lot into 2 lots and construct a single-family home in the newly created lot on the premises number 66 Crabtree Road. I make a motion to continue the hearing to October 22nd.
Second.
On the motion, seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? So moved. Under all business, case number Z1960, 2931 Newcomb Street LLC for special permit, variance floodplain, finding to construct 39-unit residential building on the premises number 2931 Newcomb Street and 3539 Newcomb Street. I think I just asked to have 2 weeks to take another look at that, which I did. What do I think? I really think that creates a big void for the people behind them as far as sun. And that's just my opinion. Is that all gonna change eventually? It is. And that's all gonna change. I just, you know, it is what it is that's down there, but there's a lot of residents there, and I just, I have a problem with the building that size and that street. That's just my one opinion out of 5. But before we continue, is the counselor here?
Yes, sir.
Dave, I know you wanted to speak because you weren't here.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dave McCarthy, 48 Whitney Road, Woodlawn Councilor. Again, we've been at this for a couple of years now, going back and forth. I know that the applicant has adjusted size of the structure, try to make it fit. I'm still not in support of the structure being that big on Newcomb Street. As I said before, it's a narrow street and it has issues. And it has issues that I think a lot of folks on the Concom are asking me about, you know, McGrath Highway and trying to get a fix in regards to the flooding down there and the city doing some work. But, you know, in reality, that brook, when that brook fills up down there, it comes to the top of McGrath. Even any adjustments down there, when it's a full moon and a storm and a full tide, Newcomb has nowhere to go. You can't get back out into the brook. And where does it end up? It ends up on Newcomb. And I just think something that this large that's going to be in that footprint down there is going to be an issue, number one, with that. Number two, we've all talked, and I'm sure you'll hear from some of the neighbors, the why Quincy High and the area itself, the busyness of that area, and again, the narrowness of Newcomb itself. It's not McGrath Highway or Washington Street. There's no way it's going to get any wider. It's 1 lane each way. So I'm concerned, and the size of that, as the chairman just pointed out, there are neighbors that are behind it. You know, in that neighborhood, there's still a lot of resi. I know it's a mixed parcel that it sits in, but I think it's going to bother the neighborhood a little bit with its size down there. So I'm still not in support. I'd love to get it a little bit smaller. Again, I'd like to see it get developed. I don't want things to just sit there, but at this time, I'm still not buying into it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Dave, the neighbors all spoke. This was asked just for 2 weeks that we could have.
Okay.
We could debate.
Mr. Chairman, if I may respond
Go ahead,
to
Councilor.
some of the concerns expressed by the councilor. As I conveyed to this board 2 weeks ago, this process has been lengthy, and it's been very thoroughly reviewed. You know, we've been through conservation, the planning board as well for site plan review. We were not asking for any special permits from the planning board. This proposal received a positive recommendation from the planning department to the planning board. This has been reviewed by a peer review consultant representing the city. This has been reviewed by all city departments. We've had a traffic report study done for this particular proposal, which has been reviewed by the city's traffic engineer as well, with no concerns. You know, with me tonight, I do have Carlos Skelty with CEC. He's our engineer. We are requesting a special permit before this board, for a site for a floodplain. He's happy to talk about flooding down there. This is, the jurisdiction is coastal storm. We are not going to be exacerbating any conditions. This proposal will not. We're making further measures by providing some compensatory storage on site, which is not required, but we're doing that. So the flooding concerns shouldn't be there because we are not worsening conditions down there. Traffic concerns, that's all been reviewed. There's a condition which was developed by the planning department to the planning board with respect to hours of operation, when deliveries and those things would be made, and we're fine with those conditions. We understand, the safety of our kids at the high school is priority, and we feel those conditions will certainly help in that respect. And we're agreeable to that. So the important thing is this has been thoroughly reviewed, and it's passed everything. Peer review, city departments, from both flooding and traffic and the size. We are not requesting any dimensional relief for this project, including height, land size with respect to per unit, setbacks. None of that's being requested from this board tonight. We are merely seeking special permit floodplain, special permit for the residential use which exists today, and a finding for the expansion of such. So I hope that makes the board feel a little more comfortable with respect to the concerns expressed by Councilor McCarthy. This has all been reviewed thoroughly by the city departments as well as peer review.
Thank you, Colonel.
Okay. And with respect to your comments, with respect to shadows and things of that nature, we're happy to show a shadow study that we prepared, and you'll find that a lot of the shadows are going to be cast over Newcomb and the YMCA parking lot. Okay.
Thank you. I think we've had all questions answered.
I think so.
Okay, could I have a motion to approve this with these conditions, please?
Shall I read all these conditions?
No.
Excuse me, are the neighbors gonna get this?
No, you're not. You spoke at the last meeting. We called that part of the hearing closed, and what I asked for was 2 weeks. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, a matter number Z19-60, 9931 Newcomb Street LLC for a special permit variance floodplain finding to construct a 39-unit residential building on the premises number 2931 and 3539 Newcomb Street. I make a motion to grant the relief requested with the conditions that the planning department's findings are included in the permit.
That's seconded?
Second.
Saying nothing on the motion? Please, there's a meeting going on. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. 4-1. 4-1 passes. All right. Right down. Thank you.
Thank you.
How about Mark?
Get back to new business, Riddell. You're all set, right?
Yeah.
Under new business, case number Z. Is he here? Swanner Road? So you get on? So we're here for Swanner Road, right?
Yeah.
All right. Case number Z 1970, Philip Baker, Rockwood Design for variance finding to demolish the existing garage and build a new two-story addition with a two-car garage, mudroom, master bedroom suite, and dormer, a walk-up attic on the premise number 72 Swan. The applicant and their representative here.
He's not here, he's free.
Huh?
We're here, we're the homeowners, we're here, but our architect's not here. He's a planning and grade creator, right?
Not sure.
I don't know. I've heard he was a planning and grade.
Yeah, wait.
The representative.
Wait.
I'm gonna have to.
Thank you.
All right. Further on the new business. 107 Atlantic Ave, Item variant Giga for variance to construct a shed dormer on a portion of the third level premises, 107 Atlantic. Is the applicant and representative here? Please step forward, name and address for the record, please.
Me and my family, we live in 107 Atlantic Street, it's two-family house.
Name and address.
Elda
Your
Giga,
name and address.
Elda Giga,
Okay?
and the address is 107 Atlantic Street, North
Right.
Quincy, 02171.
Yeah, you have the floor. Tell us what you'd like to do.
We have a two-family house, we live in the second floor and the
Yeah.
third floor. The second floor has a living room, has kitchen and bathroom.
Yep.
And the third one has two bedroom, one small and the other one, like my bedroom is a big one. And the hallway is two like knee walls and not very dark. And then we've been thinking to make like a little bit more like open with a window and light in it.
So you're gonna have a full third floor in there?
But we already have a third floor, we do have
On
two
one
bed-
portion, right? The back portion you
Yeah,
have,
yeah.
not the front of the house.
The front of the house has a little bit, like, we consider as a bedroom for my son, but it's a little, just the, our bedroom is a big one.
But it doesn't have any height, right?
Our floor, our bedroom has a very, like, height.
Up front?
No, not that
Yeah,
much.
it doesn't, right, that's what you're here for, really. Well, that would stay the same anyway,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah,
This
that's
is
one,
in the
yeah.
middle of the house you
Yeah,
wanna do that.
that's the middle that I wanted.
So you're trying to add like a
So
third
we're
of
going
that
to
roof.
get old and then we thinking to make a bathroom over there to be more like helpful for us.
So you have the second and third floor?
Second or third floor.
Where are all the cars being parked now? You really have one driveway stacked parking, right?
One driveway, yes.
And it's almost stacked parking.
Yes.
So you're adding to the house and you're not adding to any parking.
We are not adding, I'm not adding anything. We consider like to make a window on the area that we have a hallways because it's dark and we believe that it's like a lot of space, wasted space that we can make a
I understand what you're
bathroom and
saying.
maybe like.
Let me explain, maybe I didn't explain it. You're making your house bigger, so when you sell it, there'll be real bedrooms up there, correct? There will be.
I
Because you're
don't know,
gonna have,
I'm never thinking about make a bedroom, like,
there's two
more-
bedrooms up there.
yes, there is.
Right. So when you add this piece of your house, you're gonna have two full bedrooms upstairs.
I think so, maybe.
Well, that's
Yeah.
that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's what I'm trying to say. You're making your house bigger, you're adding to the house. Where are we parking?
We're parking one.
Oh, when the kids get bigger now we have more cars.
Ah,
The next person that lives there gonna have more cars, correct? I know what you wanna do.
Yeah.
Mr. Duke, I just have one question. If we put this dormer on here, does he have to sprinkle this house? Here's what they do. See how they got this section here? Yeah. Now they're doing like 2/3, it's gonna be a full third floor.
Yeah, this is good, that's right. But they just,
So this is here. John. Big piece that. This piece.
no, just side.
That's the back.
It just seems like it shows
one of the things we're worried about is the future people. We have to think about not just your family, but the next family and the next family after that. And that's why he's asking you about the clause. Because everyone thinks they have a clause. Your kids will have a clause.
There's a lot of, like, two parts below. There is a lot of space.
It's very close to one building.
Yeah.
That comes off from the This is
All right, we all get it? Don't have to?
Yeah.
All right. I just wanted to see if you had to do that. Sprinkle the house because you had that dominant.
No,
I have no question.
you don't have to?
No.
Okay.
I don't have any questions.
No question. Question?
You can have a seat. Is there anyone that would like to speak in favor? First call, second call?
John Rutherford, 8 Jackson Street, Taunton. I'm in favor of this project. They're not adding any bedrooms, you're just making the bedrooms so they don't hit their head on the ceiling when they get out of bed. So, I mean, I don't see why they shouldn't be able to do that. I can't see them adding more cars. So, I will move the camera just to make people see that it was me.
Yes.
But there's been a lot of development, a couple on Atlantic Street. There's no parking anywhere in Quincy. This will make sure people without cars, but when they sell this house, someone with a lot of cars isn't going to buy this property. So that's kind of what we're doing. We're creating properties where the new people who are moving to Quincy aren't going to have cars, even though we do have cars. But I am in favor of this. I think you have to let the people who live in Quincy develop their properties. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Marty.
Anyone else want to speak in favor? Second call, third call upon the hearing closed. I have a letter here from the DPW. They reviewed the above referenced project and have no comments. Is there anyone opposed or undecided? First call, second call, third call, closed.
I have a condition I'd like to ask.
Yep.
I'd like to put in that they can't be converted to a 3-family.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's fine. We'll put that in.
That addresses the parking and expansion to the
Well,
front.
it's,
I mean, it's
yeah,
there,
it's,
yeah.
they're there now, but people wouldn't, if you don't approve this, people wouldn't buy the house.
Oh, yeah, no, I agree.
with four
I
families.
just don't
Four
want to see it.
bedrooms, yeah.
I don't want to see somebody coming back.
And I know why she wants to live there, because she's got a house already, she's got a rent on it, all right. Yeah, that's good, that's good. No good for- Anyone else? No. Have a motion, please? Condition?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, on matter number Z19-67, Ida Canada for a variance to construct a shed dormer on a portion of the third level of premises number 107 Atlantic Street, Quincy. I make a motion to grant the variance on the condition that this will never be a 3-family house.
Second.
On the motion, seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? So moved. Case number Z19, is he here yet?
All
Here,
set.
guys?
No, you can speak if you want, if you.
No, we'll just wait. It's election cycle, council's on my way. Case number Z1968. Johanna Barry for variance to demolish the existing house and construct a new house on the premise of 98 Bellevue Road in Quincy.
I'm out.
Applicant and representative there.
I'm neighbor.
You're up, your neighbor. Mr. Himmelsman. Name and address for the record, please.
John Barry, the property address is 98 Bellevue. I'm currently residing in Milton.
And tell us what you want to do.
So we're looking to tear down the existing structure. It was built in 1900 and it's beyond repair. We've designed a new home that is larger than the existing. And the current setback for the existing structure is at 16 feet. We're looking to be at 20 on the front and approximately 22 on the side. So we're looking for some relief on that zoning. And then on the, we have a half story of the third floor. The house directly behind us is pretty solid, and we're looking to get some height to get above that.
Well, I think it's personally too big, that's too big a house. You know, zone A, it should be 2.5 stories, that's what you should build, so. I wouldn't be in favor of this project here, but you can talk to the 4 other members that are here. I just think this is too big and it should be cut back just a little bit, so everyone has the same thing at 2.5 stories. But that's just my opinion.
The house directly behind me.
Ma'am,
Okay,
that's just my opinion.
okay.
Well, I think it should also be 2.5 stories. I think, once we go to 3, everyone's gonna want to. Yeah, it's kind of a big 3, yeah.
But the other footprint alarms 5 feet too.
So I
That's
think,
almost a floor downstairs,
I
right?
think that could be a problem.
Yeah, too tall, that's too tall.
Yeah, I'd like to see something with keeping with the neighborhood. That's close to the top of the hill, right? There, Bellevue, it is.
I know we don't want to get over our neighbors, but I think the board spoke. I think they want to see a different set of plans, something 2.5 stories.
Can you give me some more definition on the half story?
2.5 stories.
Because our current third floor is half the square footage of the second floor.
But then you have a big, look at the side of your house. You're almost 4 stories on one side, right? If you look at it.
So the current house has a walkout, which we're willing to give up the walkout on the lower level.
I don't even mind, I mean, your deck up there, 3rd floor deck, it's fine. Something with a walk up or a set of stairs, whatever you need to get there, but that's gotta be a half story, not a full story all the way across.
So from the square footage standpoint, it's half the square footage of the second floor if you look at the floor plan.
That's what it is, that's what it is. What I'm saying is too high. You get too many stories in that building.
So you want me to cut back the square footage of the third
I
floor?
want you to take the 3rd floor and make it a 2.5 story building. You want a little dormer, you want a couple shed dormers on top, you can have that if you need some storage space up there, but it's not for a 3.5 story, that's not the rules. The rules are 2.5 stories. And we tell many people here, they can't have an extra 3rd floor, so it's not fair to give you a 3rd floor because your house is brand new or it's old. So that's what I'm saying. The rule states, who's designing your building?
Leslie Solomon Associates is our architect.
Tell them to build you a 2.5 story building with a couple of roof dormers on it, that'd be all right, not a big dome all the way across and to the 3rd floor, yeah.
May I suggest I could work with the applicant?
That'd be great. Yeah,
The architect can come back.
Okay.
that'd be great. If you could, how about, you work with the architect and Mr. Duker in, November 19th? All we have for place, is that right?
I have one right now.
Oh, good.
Depends on how many continue tonight.
And
We
now,
got
how
about
about,
14 for next week.
and how about the setbacks? Is that going to be a problem?
No.
Okay.
It's minimal.
Okay. So just to make sure I'm
And that's
clear,
trying to give you the right, I'm trying to give you that, but just shrink your house.
shrink the third story. Yes.
They'll help you.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you very much.
Do we have a motion for October 19th, November 19th?
Mr. Chairman, matter number Z19-68, Joanna Barry for a variance to demolish the existing house and construct a new house on the premises number 98 Bellevue Road. I make a motion to continue the hearing until November 19th.
Second.
On the motion, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, so moved. Further on to tonight's business, Z1969, Christian Bishop for variance to subdivide the current 13,750 lot into 2 lot 40 Smith Street, which we approved a couple of years ago, I believe, a year and a half ago. The applicant and the representative here, please step forward. We understand you didn't realize that your permit expired. Oh, you didn't get the loan yet. Come on.
I was unaware. So it was unanimously approved a couple of years ago, and so wanted to see.
All right, I just got one question while I'm
Yeah.
looking at this. You can't get, I got contacts on it, I can't read this. Something about 30 by 50, is that right, or 50 by 48? I tried to read it, I couldn't read it, huh? I don't know what else.
Have you made the benchmark form?
No, I'm trying to find something, never mind. Never mind, it's the other one. I got it.
Wrong.
Okay, no.
It was the other one. The print was so small, I couldn't even read it. I went through the whole thing, it's coming up.
Two years ago, it was better.
It was.
Yeah.
It was bizarre. It was like, yeah, 58 by, I couldn't read it.
2 years ago.
I had a 9-year-old read it for me, it says 50.0. That says 50.
Mr. Chairman, just, what I had her do was we used the same exact file that she did. We took the old file.
Exactly, yeah, I saw it. Thank you, Mr. Driscoll. Okay, any questions?
I have none.
No question.
Where it is? Yeah, you can have a seat. Is there anyone here who'd like to speak in favor? First call, second call. John? You gonna speak in favor?
Move on.
Oh,
I thought he had.
Move on.
I thought he did. I thought he was looking over there this time. All right.
He
All
said-
right,
he
part of
said
the
it
hearing
to-
closed. I got a letter here from the DPW that says review the above reference. Submittal and our comments are as follows. 1, specify how much impervious area will be increased through the development. 2, provide plans showing the existing site conditions, layout of utilities, grading, drainage, and construction details. 3, explain how the surface runoff will be discharged and treated. 4, upon completion of the project, as-built showing utilities, building footprints, reference bounds, benchmarks, defining the total site facilities, right-of-way needs to be submitted along with a digital file. These as-built shall be stamped and signed by a professional land surveyor, professional engineer. Anything further, please advise. Is there anyone opposed or undecided?
I am.
Please step forward, state your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name's Amanda McDowell. I live at 62 Smith Street, and it says a lot. I just wanted to know what the plans are for the lot.
It's a what?
It doesn't say what's gonna
No,
occur in the lot.
here it is right there. Here's the exact house that's going.
This one. So,
Well, they're all the same, they're just
Right.
different angles as how it goes up on the ledge over there.
so the house that's there now, it's a two-family.
That's staying.
That's staying, and they're gonna put to the left.
Yes.
Well, our street is really congested. I come home every night and I can't find a place to park. It's just the traffic. I've been in 2 traffic accidents on my street within the past 5 years. 2 members of my family have. And Smith Street is it's overcrowded, and I don't think we need any more congestion or traffic coming down the street. It's a narrow street.
I mean, they do have garage parking.
Well, even the cars just coming down the street,
Yeah.
they put townhouses up on Garfield Street, so
Yeah.
that's gonna be a problem. And then Prospect Hill comes down right where that's gonna be built. The cars coming down that street. You know,
It is a close street.
I mean, it violates the zoning, the square footage. And it's just it's a very awkward spot, and it doesn't seem safe to me.
It's a beautiful lot, and it's 13,000 square feet, so they almost have 2 full lots.
Can I say something?
Yeah, you can.
Okay, I
When
didn't know
it's
what the
done.
protocol was.
Should you speak? Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know, Smith Street's just overly congested. As someone who's lived there, my family owns a home there, we've lived there for many, many years. I just don't think we need any more developments in the neighborhood.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else opposed or undecided? Second call, third call. Do you have anything to add, you want to add?
I did want to just add, because this came up 2 years ago when I did this, and the layout for the new house has garage parking and a driveway, so 2
I know.
spots. And
2
in
and 2.
addition, 40 Smith Street, which we own, we added parking in the back, which doesn't exist now. So any
Right.
tenants in that building will now be parking in the back.
They'll
So
have
actually,
parking,
anything it
exactly.
improves.
which will take cars off the street.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you.
But they're still gonna be coming down Smith Street.
No, they will, but you know what? You just took 4 cars off the street. So less traffic flow, less people in the street. I
Well,
drive
they
down
come
there,
on Pratt
I drive
Street
down there and look
too.
at that. We go to every house. And it wasn't easy driving there today, because it was like, they park on both sides of the road, and they don't park close. They park where they want. And then someone puts cones up in the middle of the street for no reason. There was no reason for those cones. Totally bizarre. I almost threw them away. I backed right over them. I backed up to them. I said I should just keep going, but I didn't. There's nothing, there was 3 cones in the middle of the street, nothing there.
Buddy, that's not taken.
I don't care. It just shouldn't have been there. Someone put cones out like they were gonna probably park there. And that's like, come on, yeah.
Something.
Like, yeah, selfie, right, come on.
I'll take them to Taunton tonight.
You wanna put your cones out? Thank you. Is there anyone opposed or undecided? First call, second call, third call closed. I mean, I think it's a good project, because it's helping 40, 42, and it's more parking, and more cars off the street, I'll be voting
I would too, Mr. Chairman.
Likewise.
in favor. Motion, please.
Mr. Chairman, matter number Z19-69, Kristen Bishop for a variance to subdivide the current 13,750 square foot lot in 2 lots and premise number 40 Smith Street, and make a motion to grant the variance.
Second.
On the motion, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. I get it, it's our street, but she's helping. Last case. Z79, Philip Baker, Rockwood Design for variance finding to demolish the existing garage and build a new 2-story addition, 2-car garage, mudroom master bedroom. John will walk up in the attic on the premise number 72. Juanos, the applicant and representative here. Hey, mate.
Good, I'm here.
Hey.
Thank you.
Don't even matter, she's a counselor, you know.
Yeah, you got it, I know. I never counseled last
You gotta
time.
vote twice.
Yeah,
You
you're
live
right.
in Quincy?
Myself?
Yeah.
No,
You
Braintree.
better call your friends.
No, you're right.
You have the floor, name and that.
Name is Philip Baker. I live at 86 Cedar Street in Braintree. The project is at 72 Squanto Road in Quincy. So my client is looking to demolish an existing 2-car garage. It's only 2.4 feet away on the right-hand side and 2.3 feet away in the rear. And we're looking to design a new 2-car garage with a breezeway connector. Currently, the garage is only about 8 feet away from the existing house, so it's pretty close. We want to pull it off of the right-hand neighbor and also pull it off the rear neighbor. It's all kind of pigeonholed in there, so all the lots are very tight. The existing house is only 3.9 feet, so we're going to make that better and make the new addition 4.2 at the worst corner. On the right-hand side will be 5.4.
I mean, it is tight.
It is very tight.
And what you're building is making it tight again, even though it's helping the conditions of 40 each way. But that shed's gotta go.
The shed in
The
the...
shed that's probably pushing the neighbor's fence back.
Okay, got it.
Someone jammed in there with a, probably, I don't know, pitchforks to get it in. I don't know how you got that in there.
It's only been there for about 6 months, believe it or not.
Yeah, Slant.
That was desperation.
But the lady next door does have a pool, and she's worried about, you know, foundation work and all that, and be real careful with their pool. Yeah, make sure you go over there and take a look at their pool.
Okay.
When you're in there digging.
Right.
Which I'll put in the conditions here.
Okay.
We're
we tried to
nice
leave-
enough to take a trip to the city today and
Yeah,
have a talk with
We tried to leave enough space, so at least we can get a bobcat around to dig the hole, and leave enough space to move around a little bit. So as you know, the fence, you can
Yeah,
reach
well,
out and touch it.
she's gotta paint her fence too on your property, and of course
Right.
the ladder. And
Okay.
vice versa, if you get along with neighbors. And I know you're bringing it back. Now, that fence that's there right now in the driveway, what is that, about a foot in off the property line?
I think
Because
so.
you're only about 6 inches, that's 6 inches off that fence, if it's that. I can get my hand through it.
This is the rear fence?
The fence going along the side, your
Along the
driveway.
side?
That abuts the
It's about
right-hand
a little
side.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
on
on,
the
our-
right.
it's on our, it's on our.
Must be way on your side, like,
Yeah.
if you're going 3.5 feet, 4.5 feet, it's gotta be 2 feet off that.
Yeah, no
line.
problem.
Are you changing that fence?
I
Pushing
don't
that
think
back?
so. potentially keep it if we can, yeah.
The neighbor put that fence up, so it was there when we bought the house.
And then the building's going there. And then what are you gonna do with the rest? Are you gonna put another fence, continue that fence down there?
We're gonna offer to.
There's nothing there.
Yeah, we're gonna
There's
offer.
nothing there, and you just, people walking back and forth, you know, you should put something back there. If
Yeah.
you're gonna just leaves or whatever.
Yeah, he
Keep
put the
the
fence,
leaves up.
he put the fence up, we were gonna offer to finish it.
Yeah. I guess we could do that. Finish the fence going down the line, so it's got a line. And, mine's the shed. Property is gonna look beautiful.
Yeah, they're also gonna do new siding, update the
Yeah,
whole
beautiful.
exterior, so it's gonna be a
Nice,
showcase.
nice design, you did a good job.
Thank you.
Look really good.
I'll leave it here.
Any questions?
No question. No question.
No questions. You can have a seat.
Okay.
Is there anyone that wants to speak in favor? First call, second call, council.
Yeah, real quick, Dave McCarthy, 48 Road, Woodland Councilor.
Counselor, thank you for hanging in tonight. I know it wasn't easy. I could have had you up here an hour ago.
Yeah, that guy walking,
The guy's walking, does what he wants, when he wants.
As you guys, well, I looked at some of the plans recently, and I know they did some nice work at 72 Squano, maybe in the spring of 2018, where they enclosed the porch.
Yeah.
And as you know, it's a beautiful white colonial on the corner. I could only see a plus by pulling the garage in with the mudroom and the bedroom above, and it just, you know, it's gonna be another nice addition to Marymount, which is already nice, so I'm in favor.
Thank you, Councilor. Is there anyone else like to speak in favor? Second call, third call. All upon hearing closed. I have a letter here from DPW. They reviewed the project and have no comments. Is there anyone opposed or undecided? You speak against your wife? No?
Smarter than that.
Is there anyone else? First call, second call, third call, all that part of the hearing closed. It's a beautiful home, it's gonna be really nice. It's gonna be a beautiful job. I'll be looking at it.
You know, in favor.
In favor.
Have a motion?
Z19-70, Phil Baker, Rockwood Design, for a variance finding to demolish the existing garage and build a new two-story addition with a two-car garage, mudroom and master suite, and dormer to walk up at the premises number 72 Squanto Road. Make a motion to grant the variance on the condition that the shed that's back there now, disappears, and the fence gets finished.
Finish the fence and the driveway side, yeah. Okay.
Driveway side.
Second.
On the motion, seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? So moved.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
That's all.
Aye.